walked down to the dock with a couple of my buddies, and I got on the phone I called Miss Christine, called her the first time. She didn't answer. I called her a second time, and I got on the phone with her, and I asked her if she had heard from Nolan. She said no. And I said,
see, Javion was his real friend. Javion actually had his parents' number because that was his real best friend. This wasn't his real best friend. I wouldn't doubt that they was good friends, but best friend is a stretch.
All right, well, don't freak out. I'm going to call the Coast Guard. And this was at about 11 o'clock.
So what's your intent in calling?
So 6.5 hours passed before they realized Nolan wasn't around them, and they've been having his phone.
Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well,
y'all about to see a lot of contradictions of Warren sitting down with Officer Tatum talking about Nolan Wells' disappearance. One thing y'all got to pay attention to is no timestamps are being mentioned. They mentioned a timestamp of him not seeing Nolan Wells at 3 p.m. And the girl, Katie, said she haven't seen him as well, essentially at 3 p.m. But they left at 4:30 p.m. They said they got towed back to the mainland. But Warren gonna sit here and tell y'all they had to go full speed, 42 miles per hour to get back to the mainland, but they stopped. They made a stop. It's so confusing. It's so contradicting. Y'all gotta see this, bro. Because I'm 1000% confused.
Because I know you mentioned before, is there any chance or any knowledge that you have that anybody deleted stuff from his phone?
I mean, Nolan was like a brother to me. Nolan lit up every room he walked in. 4th of July, everybody was out there. Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. The rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good time. And then you guys get ready to leave prematurely.
Right.
And like, what? Explain that, because you guys got there around 10.
Yeah.
It's now 4:30.
Right.
People are still out there partying, and
Correct.
they're having a good time, but something happened to where it necessitated out there partying, and
Correct.
they're having a good time, but something happened to where it necessitated you guys to get the boat up and running. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I had a girl come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously I have a younger brother, and that's who she was talking about, and I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over. I ran over. I made a beeline. I didn't talk to anybody. Put my drink down and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and there was a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was. And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight, and this guy punched me in the face," and I punched him right back, and then went to the ground, and my brother put him in an arm bar. And
was Nolan involved in any of this?
Absolutely not. When I was over there, it was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, he just trying to. He asked him an issue about a boat. Like, why are you trying to lead us onto a story about a fight that your brother had? Like every time this man has asked Warren a question, it's always a dialogue that's out of nowhere. He asked you about a damn boat. He didn't ask you about no fight with your brother.
Yeah, so you get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is what
this led up to that. That's what I was saying.
So the fight happened with your brother, or a little scuffle. I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
Right.
You got your brother out of that situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything of it. I pulled my brother off the beach, and I was just like, "Listen, get in the water, hang out with us, calm down." I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, And so once I got back over to the boat, I got on the train.
They need to figure out who the brother had a fight with, because maybe he would be willing to say what happened that entire day. You know what I'm saying? Because he ain't a part of their friend group, I'm assuming. So maybe he'll be a little bit more cooperative when it comes to spilling information that we may not know. Because this entire time with Tatum, Officer Tatum interviewing Warren, this is like, it's not no groundbreaking news, but it's giving us a little insight into that day. You feel me? It doesn't disprove or prove anything. It doesn't make them look less guilty or more guilty right now. But he has said some things in the previous video that I did that raised some red flags, and I'll let y'all know what those is later.
And the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom. And I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat. And, you know, no water's coming out, no excess water's coming out. And, you know, it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there were so many people getting on and off the boat. And at some point, the boat was very, very crowded. And there was just a lot of people on, so that it drags water in. And eventually, I think over time, we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water. So I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater. And so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's, you know, yelling at people. So console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's, you know, yelling at people. Everybody's kind of freaking out. And eventually, I'm like yelling at other people, trying to tell them, you know, calm down. Like, you know, the boat could possibly sink, you know, and I'm not paying attention to everyone around me. I was paying attention to my buddy's boat. And that's what all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now.
That were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So he need to ask what boat. I don't think he gonna ask that. He need to ask what boat was Nolan Wells on. What boat did he came to the island on?
What all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now. The water's getting up to the point where the boat may be disabled to where you couldn't get it out.
Correct.
From Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps in the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Meyer, you're sitting rear anchor, and my buddy Meyer, you're sitting looking, trying to.
Bar is his buddy. That's the name that they was cutting out in the previous interview, in the first lit episode that he dropped. Bar. Why are they cutting out Bar name? Y'all let me know in the comments who Bar is, because I finally caught it. Somebody said in the comments they was talking about Jax, or they was talking about Wyatt. No, they talking about Bar. And why is his name significant enough for them to cut it out?
Pull trash out the bilge, and the bilge is trying to pull trash out the bilge, and the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the excess water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any excess water was just sitting in the boat. It wasn't getting pumped out. And I looked over the gunnel, and I looked at the release hole for the bilge, and it was even with the water. So, I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, you know, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well, then eventually my buddy Bart on the tide line is like, I'm going to pull y'all out to where we're out of all this, you know, all this chaos. Because we left at 4:30, and there were still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. I mean, it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people. And, I mean, eventually Bart pulls us out. You know, we left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, you know, Bart's port side cleat or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow, and so he was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get it situated. So that's when Wyatt called Cito, and Wyatt was like, calls him, because the cell service isn't great at the island, but once you can use your phone, but stuff might not descend, and it's not great. You got maybe one bar, it won't work that well. But once you get a little off the island, you have cell coverage, and even on the island, like I called my mom when we were on the island. It was fine. Like we had enough cell coverage to make a phone call or shoot a text over, but you don't have enough cell coverage to like send a picture, for example. So Wyatt.
So I want to go back.
Yeah,
I want to touch on that real quick, because the phone thing came up at some point. And so was it when you guys got off the boat?
Yeah.
I mean, were people taking their phones off the boat, or is that not typical? Because I know that Nolan's phone was left on the boat,
right?
Even though after you guys had left. So can you explain that? Because I think people need to understand this a little clearer.
Yeah.
Was it typical for people to have their phones left on boats, or did they keep their phones in the water? Or?
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of goes out to the island to get away from, their phones and everything else. I know I got on the boat to get away from, just the regular world. And no, when you're waist deep in water, no one's carrying their phone in their hand.
You got to think about this. Everybody is not going to be in the water the entire time. Everybody not going to be waist deep in the water. I don't know why I keep messing up with the word water, but everybody is not going to be waist deep in the water every time. If you go back and look at that image, you can see people with their phones in their hand that's inside the water. You feel me? People have waterproof cases. My iPhone right now is waterproof to an extent. Like it's not taboo for somebody to have their phone while they in the water. We do that. So what you do is not indicative to what the whole is going to do. Everybody, this is a social media era. So we don't know if Nolan had his phone or not unless we see a picture of him having his phone on the island or some videos. So we don't have our phones in the water that's like a lie.
Especially at Horn Island, the water has been very, very murky because of the rain, and when it's just very risky. If you're gonna have your phone in the water, some people might for a couple minutes and like maybe taking some pictures of each other. I know a lot of girls like to take pictures in the water at Horn Island. Guys do too. Like people like to take pictures, and but a lot of the pictures you see are on the boat for a reason. And so, no, I mean, if someone is on their phone in the water, they're using it real quick and then putting it right back on the boat. We were all waist deep in water. No one's sitting there scrolling on their phone. I never saw that once, and I've never seen that once, and I've been out the Highland my whole life. I mean, that's just not something people do. People aren't on their phones, and everybody has their phone, yes, but it's always on the boat. No one's getting off the boat with their phone.
And so you guys get ready to leave out of there. You're getting towed out.
Nobody getting off the boat with their phone, but he just said some people will have their phone for a few minutes. You're not knowing what somebody gonna do with their phone. Like I said, a lot of people can go get them a waterproof phone case. It's not that hard. It's 2026. This is what people do. So you're trying to keep it like, oh no, we didn't take his phone. He just left it on the boat, and we left him on an island because he said he wasn't going anywhere. So we need to get to the part where he give the excuse on why Nolan Wells left his phone with them, but he stayed on the beach with some people that they don't know.
Yeah, and then where's Nolan in this situation?
Well, the last time I saw Nolan was 3:00, and Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms.
Think about this. The last time you seen Nolan Wells is 3:00. At 3:00. So you telling me in an hour and 30 minutes, y'all somehow left with his phone? An hour and 30 minutes later, y'all. So Nolan didn't check his phone at all. Ain't send no text. Ain't do no Snapchat and no messages. How would you even know if messages is deleted or not if y'all haven't even been in that phone? But we're gonna get to that.
Katie, Katie, and Katie, Nolan was sitting there, and the last time I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, "Dude, you crazy?" I was like just joking with him, and but anyway, Nolan, that was the last time
He know Katie. They know Katie. They know what's up with Katie. Somebody, dude, you crazy. Something not adding up here though. But I'm gonna stop pausing it. Y'all just comment and leave a timestamp on something if I miss it.
laid eyes on him, but when we were leaving, obviously, no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, be there and asked. This is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing. But Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan. Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues, and no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, "No, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else." And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And
hey, this is my honest opinion. They was having an issue. Nolan must have had an issue and had a falling out for him to be so reluctant to get on that boat. Now the girl said he didn't stay with them. Stay with her. And they saying he stayed with the girl, right? So we need some type of timestamp, some type of video of proving that Nolan Wells didn't get on the boat with them, or he did. Because you my partner, you ain't gotta be like, "Hey bro, get the F on the boat, get the F on the boat, or we gonna leave you." You know what I'm saying? Maybe Nolan jumped on the boat and they had an issue and they still had a scuffle or whatever. Maybe Nolan Wells did get left on the island and something happened with the other people. You know what I'm saying? So, but we're not gonna just try to count out all possibilities. This is what Officer Tatum. He don't want to blame the little white boys. White is right. He don't want to do that. But why are they cursing and telling Nolan to get on the boat? For what reason? He a grown man at 19, 20 years old? And if it's so common for y'all to go back in from the island, because they say out to the island and going back into mainland. So if it's so common for y'all to go back into mainland, why is your friend fussing over dude to get on the boat? Fussing over Nolan. So this not making sense.
Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. And like he said,
how many people heard that? Were there
at least 5 everyone that was on our boat right there, because the Palm Beach had already left. My buddy went ahead and went home on the Palm Beach, and 3 guys on the way back. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. I mean, we had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do, I mean, a lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, I mean, it's not like it's an uncommon.
So Palm Beach had already left. So that leaves 2 boats. That leaves 2 boats for Nolan to have went back on potentially.
Thing, but it's not like we just left him there, or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling
correct
for Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him. he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that. My buddy was yelling. She saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling. She saw Nolan was when.
That is so deceptive to keep cutting out particular key points, and then you asking him to reframe or re-say his question. That is exactly what they doing.
And my buddy was yelling at. She saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat, and she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Yeah, and so you guys get
on the boat, and she was right there to see that my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. It's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat, and she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Yeah, and so you guys get in the boat, you start to get towed in, and you make it back. Now, explain how that you get to the point where you were concerned about Nolan, because obviously you said, "Hey, Nolan."
He lying. He said the last time he seen Nolan was at 3:00. He said he left at 4:30. So you saying that at 3, you was telling Nolan to get on the boat, get on the boat, get on the boat, get on the boat. And this is when the last time she said she seen Nolan Wells is around that same time, 3:00, right? Because at 4:30, you left. So he lying. He's telling a bald-faced lie. So they lying, bro. Either the girl is lying or Warren is lying, because an hour and 30 minutes pass and then y'all get told, because y'all this is how you left the island, right? Are y'all picking up on this?
Or somebody, not
when
you,
did I get
but
to that point?
You guys had made mention Nolan need to get on a boat.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah.
You guys get back to wherever you're going.
Right.
Explain that. Did you guys go back to somebody's house, or you guys like what happened there? And then when did you feel like, well, wait a minute, where's Nolan?
Right. Okay. Well, running in was very chaotic. I mean, Nolan chose to stay on the island, so my focus wasn't on anything else other than the boat. You know, because if the boat doesn't get in, then no one gets in. You know, I don't want to sink out there on my buddy's boat, and no one does. But my buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat once we kind of got out there, because he got the motor to trim down. And the motor trimmed down, my buddy Wyatt pulled the plug, and we planed off. We moved all the way to the front of the boat so we could plane off. And eventually we planed off, and the boat was running. So when you're planed off and you have water in the boat and you're hauling, you know, we're going pretty fast. We're going probably 42 miles an hour. And so all that excess water that was built up in the boat is coming out of the boat.
How is this happening? How is this happening when you are being towed away? How he just said anybody that own boats, do you still drive your boat at full capacity, at full speed? Can you pull a boat 42 miles per hour? How is this simultaneously happening while he's supposed to be being towed?
So, I mean, that's what we had to do. So we ran into Fort Bayou, and we didn't just run straight to my buddy's grandparents' house. We ran into Fort Bayou. A couple of us jumped in the water, and Wyatt, like, the whole reason for the stop was so Wyatt could hop in and put the plug back in the boat. So then after that, we went and docked it, and I went back to my buddy's house, and we ate and napped for a little bit. It was a long day at the island, so we were all tired. And eventually, we go over to a girlfriend of mine. She was having people over for 4th of July. We were doing like fireworks and stuff, so we all went over there to swim and hang out. And
this infamous picture that I've seen online of Nolan in the water in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
where is this picture associated with? Because you said you guys went back to swim. Nolan wasn't with you.
Yeah.
So where's this picture at? Like, what is it? What's the context around that picture that's been floating?
That picture is taken on June 27th, a week before the 4th of July. We all went to a friend of ours in Pass Christian. We have a lot of friends from Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian. We all went over there to hang out, and
And Nolan was in that picture.
Nolan was in that picture, and if you look in the picture, my arm is around Nolan in that picture. And I mean, that was a week before the 4th of July, so that picture is not associated within even the same. I mean, that was like a week before, so yeah.
So you guys are now at swimming and having a good time at a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while, and I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff, and I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody, but
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then
Notice they not giving timelines and timestamps. Notice that. Notice from I left the island at 4:30. There is no more timestamps being mentioned.
then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that? Where's Nolan at?
I mean, I went back downstairs, and all my friends were just hanging out, and my buddy Wyatt had addressed, talk about Nolan, and I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him? And he was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, it's a little concerning. Like, I mean, I'm not freaking out or anything, but like, I'm trying to find out where Nolan is. So I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, and also a couple other buddies that I had at the island. I was like, hey, have y'all seen Nolan? Did he ride in with y'all? And all the buddies were like, no. Well, I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, can you send me Miss Christine's number? Because I haven't heard from Nolan. And if she hasn't heard from Nolan, then I'm calling the Coast Guard. And so eventually, Javon sends me her number.
Who's supposed to be the best friend? They've been knowing him since he was elementary. This is supposed to be the best friend. You don't even have his mama number, but you his best friend.
Sorry, that's
Miss Christine.
Miss Christine is
Nolan's mom.
Nolan's mom. Okay.
Yeah. And I walked down to the dock because, I mean, there was a lot of people at Ava's. Not a lot, but, there was probably 15 of our friends there. And I was just like, walked down to the dock with a couple of my buddies, and I got on the phone. I called Miss Christine, called her the first time. She didn't answer. I called her a second time, and I got on the phone with her, and I asked her if she had heard from Nolan. She said no. And I said,
see, Javion was his real friend. Javion actually had his parents' number because that was his real best friend. This wasn't his real best friend. I wouldn't doubt that they was good friends, but best friend is a stretch.
all right, well, don't freak out. I'm going to call the Coast Guard. And this was at about 11 o'clock.
So what's your intent in calling
So 6.5 hours passed before they realized Nolan wasn't around them, and they've been having his phone.
Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well, I mean, like I said, my friends and I have been on the water our whole life. Stuff happens. People die all the time.
This the best question he can ever ask him. What made you concerned to even call the Coast Guard? What made you concerned? What in your spirit say, let's call the Coast Guard? Don't worry. That's because you knew something already happened to him.
I know people that have died out there. And, you know, it's a fun place to be, but it's also a very, very dangerous place to be if you're not handling it right. And Nolan, so I hadn't heard from him. And obviously, I'm thinking I'd way rather be safe than sorry. I mean, I would rather call the Coast Guard 100 times and lose my mind over it and my buddy be okay than, you know, not, and me not know where he is and him not be okay. And so I called the Coast Guard and I talked to them on the phone for like 20 minutes, gave them a description, what Nolan was wearing, the last place we were at, the last time I saw him, who were we with, what boat we were on.
This was the alibi.
Conditions of the water, just a summary. And I called Miss Christine back after, and I talked to her. And I said I got in contact with the Coast Guard. I'm not sure who she called or what she did, but I think she said she was going to make a couple phone calls to either DMR or Jackson County Sheriff's Office. And I mean, yeah, I was thinking worst case scenario. Like, I mean, I would way rather be safe than sorry about this.
Yeah. So you called. So it seems like you called mom immediately.
Right.
Probably the first phone call that she got from anybody.
That's the first phone call, like, at least I made, and I would assume that's the first phone call she got from anybody. Because
what boat did his brother get on? Did his brother leave with that third boat or the first boat? Because if I'm just speculating and these dudes are actually in a crime, was his buddy fighting with Nolan? I mean, what is his brother fighting with Nolan? Who was his brother fighting with? Where is his brother? Because this could be a case of him trying to protect his brother. Or whoever name they keep bleeping out. Because 6.5 hours go by, nobody's seen Nolan. And it seems like y'all do know Katie. Did any of y'all contact Katie and say, hey Katie, where's Nolan? Have you seen Nolan? Your first thought was to call the Coast Guard to give a description, to tell them how y'all left. And you call at 11 o'clock. But y'all been knowing y'all had the boy phone. When y'all jumped off the boat and y'all seen all these phones. Oh, who phone is this? Who phone is this? It's Nolan. Was it dead? Like, this don't make no sense. The parents had to track the boy phone and come get the phone from y'all. And y'all was having issues. Y'all was hostile. Y'all was hostile with the family. And then the dad had to come get the keys. Y'all was hostile with them.
Javon hadn't called her. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But Javon hadn't called her. And, I mean, I was just worried about my friend.
Javon haven't called him because he was left with y'all. Javon been left. How would Javon know to call Miss Christine if y'all was the ones left with Nolan, bro? This ain't no damn friend.
Stuff happens out there, boat problems. It could be anything, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens out there, and I was just worried about my friend.
And so you guys made that call. Nothing that night, and I'm assuming you wake up the next day, and then what happens?
I wake up the next day at about 7:30, and my dad had texted me because obviously Nolan's photo was all over Facebook, and I just saw it everywhere, and I was freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, like I assumed Nolan's just we had been drinking all day, and like that he's just sleeping somewhere, and that he's okay, but I didn't want to believe that if we didn't know for sure. So I mean, next day I woke up and my stepdad walked to my room and he said, hey, like, have they heard anything about Nolan? Like, what's going on? Because I hadn't spoke to him. And he was like, I was like, yeah, no, like, I don't know. I had just gotten up. And he was like, all right, well, we're going and getting on the boat and looking for him. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I got my buddy Ricky, I got my buddy Brooks, I got my buddy Jax. My mom came on the boat with my stepdad and I, and we all went out there and looked. When I got out there, there was dozens of DMR boats, helicopters, planes flying over Horn Island. And this wasn't just Horn Island. There was also Ship Island they were looking at, I'm sure, and Chandelier Island, Petty Boy. I mean, it wasn't just Horn Island specifically, but where I was at Horn, there were boats everywhere, and not just like random boats, but like, marine resource boats and, cops and, the whole nine. Like, it wasn't like there was just a couple boats looking for Nolan. There was planes and helicopters and everybody. So,
and then after this, obviously they didn't find Nolan that day,
right?
And so, what was your reaction like when you heard the news, or how did you hear the news that they found Nolan's body?
Well, the next day, Well, it got to be about 1 o'clock on July 5th, and I was like, my mind started to turn. I was like, man, you know, if he's not awake yet, like, where is he? Like, you know, like I got very, very worried. And, you know, I was with my buddy Brooks the next day, and we're driving, and my buddies were texting my group chat. They were like, hey, listen, and then I got a phone call from my buddy Trace, and he was like, hey, man, they just found his body. And I was like, I wanted to have hope, but it was really, really hard to have hope when they haven't found your buddy in the last 2 days. And, but there's still a little bit of hope there, you know, like maybe, you know, he's not gone, and maybe, you know, he's okay. But my reaction was just, I was with my buddy Brooks, and I broke down. I mean, I haven't experienced death a lot, but especially with someone I'm as close with as Nolan. And I mean, I broke down, and I sat there on my buddy Brooks' shoulder, and I cried, and I was upset. I made a couple phone calls to my buddies and checked up on my buddies, because, you know, I care about my buddies too. I mean, like, we're all experienced this. Like, we all realized at the same time. We all heard the news at the same time. Like, you know, he's gone, and so it was really, really hard on me. I mean, I've never experienced something like this, and it was traumatic. I mean, I could tell you where and when I was there, when I got that phone call, you know, where I was. And I just remember, like, it was insane. Like, I can't even put into words how upset I was, you know, and how upset my friends were. So, and then
I'm going to honestly say, I don't think, if something happened to Nolan Wells, and it came from some of these friends, being an OD, being drinking too much, being an accident, I truly believe Warren don't have direct involvement in it, but indirectly he might know something that may lead investigators to his brother or his friends. That's just my gut feeling. People may be like, well, he haven't shown a lick of emotion. I was on national TV when my bro had passed away, and I felt it when I first got the call. My partner AB had called me, and that night I was fucked up about it. So, but when I was on camera, I didn't show too much emotion. I was angry. I wanted to do something about it, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of deception going on, and it's a lot of seem like lies or missed timeline. It's like he was there, but he don't know exactly what happened, but may have heard some whispers. You feel me?
then comes the stories and backlash and the craziness. I mean, you guys are now hearing that you're responsible for it. You did it. You killed Nolan. So what was the next step? Did you guys ever engage with police or?
Yeah, so the first time I talked to the police was July 7th.
Engage with police or?
Yeah, so the first time I talked to the police was July 7th. I talked to the lead investigator, and I told him my whole story, top to bottom, dotted every I, crossed every T. I told him everything I knew, every little detail. I mean, everything I could, tell them to try to figure something out,
Well, you don't want to talk to the cops or?
No, of course not. Every person that was included, especially, the guys that you see on social media, everybody cooperated with the police fully. Nolan was with us on the way out, and he rode out on the boats with us. So, we were the first people to get questioned. We cooperated with the police the first time they called us, and, we talked to them, as soon as they needed, and we were fully cooperative.
And we see Benjamin Crump coming in town, made it about race.
Right.
What's your feeling about that? Do you think that any of this has anything to do with race, or because obviously something happened to Nolan? It appears that you guys may not have been involved at all. When I say may not, it's no evidence that you were involved at all. Right. You guys had left. Right. But do you think that there's a racial?
You see how he just so quick to just exonerate them with? He ain't seen no damn evidence. He ain't personally seen all the interrogations, the transcripts, the police reports. He ain't personally talked to 50 people. But you see Ben Crumb, he came in, he made it about race. That's one of their talking points. Everything is about race, nigga. Every policy, every bill, every law, everything is about race. And the people who try to ignore it is typically the people ignoring particular races when they have an issue, when they have some complaints. Nah, don't make it up, especially if you black. Black people, we don't have the right to make anything about race. Everything is fair for us. We get fair trials. We get fair economic developments in our community. We get fair opportunities. That's why they had to delete DEI, because it didn't even benefit black folks, but they thought it did. So they cut that off. We get a fair image, framing and language in the media. They always talk about how excellent black people is, huh? Right. They always talk about how excellent we is, huh? Don't they? Yeah, it ain't about race. Black people doing all right. But you see all these conservative platforms saying we not victims. And then you got the liberal painting us as victims. None of these evils benefit the black community. And I'm telling y'all now, I am a black first conservative. It's a term that you never heard before. A black first conservative mean I'm trying to preserve and conserve anything black. I want better communities. It don't matter if the left or the right is pushing a particular law, policy, or bill. I am black first and trying to conserve the better image of what black folks is and always have been. And don't get it twisted. Talking about liberal, talking about conservative. Nah, nigga, I'm in between. I'm a true independent, but only for black cause. Y'all worry about America. I'm gonna worry about niggas. 1000%. Now check this out. If you want to see how you look in the black on black love t-shirts or hoodie, go to the website 95way.com. Click on virtual try on. Take a picture, upload the picture, bam. That's how you look in a black on black love hoodie or t-shirt. Y'all know this a protest to black on black crime. This a protest to them pushing a negative image on our people. So you wear this as a message and you live it as a mindset.
Component to any of this?
Of course not. I mean, I think if Nolan ever felt the most little bit uncomfortable around us, which we never gave him a reason to, but if he did, he wouldn't hang out around us. But if you go look on, like my friends have had Nolan posted all over our social medias, since freshman year in high school. Like, if Nolan ever felt uncomfortable with us, why would he be hanging out with us all the time? I mean, every day we're back from college, we hang out and we're around each other all the time. So absolutely not. I would never look at Nolan any other way than I would any of my other friends. I mean, he was like a brother to me.
You guys had been interviewed by law enforcement. Mm-hmm. All of you guys have given statements. But then I think that there's a part associated with this that's being rumored out in the public, and that is the situation with the cell phone, potential deletion of messages. When did that occur, and what happened there?
If he say anything about this cell phone, if he give any information about this particular cell phone, we about to know how guilty he is. They try to clip everything up, but you can't clip everything up. But stay tuned for part 4.